The rock and roll world took a hit today as it said goodbye to one of the most influential guitarists of the 20th century. TMZ reported that Eddie Van Halen, of his righteously successful namesake band, lost his years-long battle with throat cancer. He was just 65 years old. His wife Janie, son Wolfgang, and brother Alex were with him when he died. Eddie had been struggling to fight the cancer for over a decade, but he finally succumbed to it after it recently spread to his brain and other organs. Eddie himself attributed the disease not to his many years of heavy smoking, but to a metal guitar pick that he used to bite down on over 2 decades ago. Eddie and Alex founded their eponymous band in Pasadena, California, with bassist Michael Anthony and singer David Lee Roth in 1972. The band released more than 10 albums, many of which enjoyed multi-platinum success.
My whole life has been music. I could not imagine anything else.
A bandmate as well as a son, Wolfgang Van Halen actually had an excellent relationship with his father. He joined the band as bassist in 2006, going on tour and releasing the studio album A Different Kind of Truth with his dad in 2012. Wolfgang lamented the loss of his father on Twitter not long after his passing. "I can't believe I'm having to write this, but my father, Edward Ludwig Van Halen, has lost his long and arduous battle with cancer this morning. He was the best father I could ever ask for. Every moment I've shared with him on and off stage was a gift. I love you so much, Pop." Alice in Chains guitarist and co-lead vocalist William Duvall also said goodbye to his friend Eddie on Twitter. "Unbelievable. Hard to imagine a world without you in it. So many treasured memories attached to your music, your sound, your image, your attitude. No doubt the memories and mourning will continue to lament the sad death of Eddie Van Halen in the coming days."
Welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, Long Island. Got a special show tonight. Unfortunately, we lost one of the great music icons in the world. Eddie Van Halen passed away a couple of days ago. So we thought, even though it's a wrestling show, we thought it was important that we know what Eddie meant to us. And first I want to welcome owner of Indie Music TV and blues icon. Can I call you a blues icon, Mr. Chris Patty?
I appreciate that. Icon I don't know about, but thank you very much.
And thank you for coming in and being able to talk with us about Eddie at this time. To the right is the star of the show, Jimmy Pharaoh.
Greetings, everybody. Good evening. What's happening, Mike, besides the obvious?
Yep.
I just like to welcome you guys. I never really formally got to do that. We're thrilled about your show. We're thrilled to have you here. Congratulations on your success, and we're just happy to be part of what you guys are doing. And we love you guys. We think you're great. So.
And ditto here. We've got Matt at the board. You've treated us with utmost respect, and we love being here. We love you guys. We enjoy our time. But anyway.
Yeah, you'll forgive me. I'm kind of shell-shocked right now. We lost the soundtrack of our youth. That's the soundtrack to our youth is Eddie Van Halen. Eddie was not only the greatest of his time at his instrument, but there were so many different reasons for it. Technically, he had no peer. We all know this. The first time we heard the finger tapping, there may have been a few guitar players who had messed with it a little bit, but Eddie took it and made it his own and made it a sound that everybody else wanted to try to be like. Eddie was an original, a true original. So when he plugged in, you knew it was Eddie Van Halen. One of the other things that made him so great is that he had pop sensibility, and that's what separates him from so many of the other great metal guitar players from the 80s or hard rock guitar players. Eddie had a sense of pop. Eddie could write Jump. Eddie could write, even at the very beginning when they did the cover of the Kinks' You've Really Got Me, he understood the formula. Get in, get out, an insane guitar solo in the middle, some great choruses. Eddie understood it all. And he basically was Mozart on guitar. I've thought about over the last day or so since hearing of his passing, he was only 65. And this is a strange thought, but my father's hero growing up was Sinatra. Now, my father was about 17, 18 when Frank was doing his thing. And I thought about it, and my father lost Frank when my father was in his 50s. And here we are in our 50s, and we lost Eddie. The only difference is at least Frank got to, about 80 years old. Eddie left us way too soon. The greatest guitar player of his generation, and I could go on and on about all the memories we have, just getting familiar with girls in junior high and listening to Van Halen and David Lee Roth telling us how awesome girls are and Eddie soloing and the sound of that youthful exuberance and energy that Van Halen had, especially with David Lee Roth. Sorry, folks, but that's how I feel about that. The greatest of his generation.
Chris, thoughts?
It's funny. I mean, I like to consider myself kind of a tough guy, manly kind of guy, but I have to say it did bring me to tears when I heard it. And I remember when Michael Jackson died, it was the same kind of thing. Like, I actually felt overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I wasn't really close with either one of them. I have a lot of friends that have worked with, especially Michael Jackson, a lot of friends that worked with him closely. And in fact, I worked with Michael's older sister, Evie. I did an album with her. But Eddie Van Halen, a lot of close friends of mine. One of my closest friends, I've been a mentor to, lived across the street from Eddie. So I used to go to his house in Mulholland Drive, and I used to hear Eddie playing all the time. And Eddie also used to be out here in Port Jefferson. So when he first developed cancer of the tongue, he was getting treatments at Stony Brook University. And he used to go to a place called Pace's Steakhouse. I used to see him there all the time, very regular guy, kind of on the quiet side. But a gentle soul. But, there's Van Halen as the group, and then there's Eddie as the icon guitar genius. And my thing as being a musician for so many years, as much as I believe in virtuosity and all that, the thing I love about those guys, they never took themselves too seriously. And as much as I think Sammy Hagar was great, and I think that when he replaced David Lee Roth, technically, maybe he's a better singer, but it lost that campy. Eddie was like, look at this, and he would just play something insane, but didn't take it seriously. So it was just entertainment. It wasn't masturbatory. It wasn't all, oh, we're so great, look at us. It was just great entertainment. But at the same time, it was brilliant on so many levels. Marketing-wise, the songs, like you mentioned, Jim, the hooks, amazing hooks, great production, great playing. I mean, Alex Van Halen as well. I saw them live the last time.
Alex Van Halen.
I saw them on the comeback tour with when David Lee Roth first got in the band. First of all, the guy had abs like a 15-year-old. Yeah. I don't know how he did it at 60 years old. I'm looking at the guy with no shirt and going, that can't be real. What are they, photoshopping in real time? The guy looked amazing. He had insane energy on stage. He sang every note perfectly. The band was amazing. And Alex Van Halen did this drum solo, and they had like 10 cameras. And they had it all sequenced to he's doing this, camera left, right, top, and it was sequenced perfect. Like the camera people and the sound people knew exactly what he was going to play in that solo. I've never seen anything that good in my life. It blew me away. And this was towards the end of their reign. This was probably 2006, 2007,
yeah, that sounds
something
about
like
the
that.
right time. Yep.
But just a brilliant, iconic group. I mean, the tapping, I don't know if a lot of people know, it started with flamenco guitar players, Spanish guitar players. Eddie took that style and he put it on electric and changed the whole feel and the whole sound and basically inspired a generation of guitar players that inspired a generation of guitar players that inspired a generation. We're third generation now into Van Halen's legacy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You can't say enough about the guy.
I don't want it to be lost either. While it was not exactly popular when Eddie started to concentrate on piano, I just listened to, right now on the way over here, that piano work is brilliant. That song is brilliant. The lyrics are brilliant. And even though I wasn't a fan of, as they call it, Van Hagar, although I did like a few songs, there was some gems in those, them there hills. I think he had 4 more platinum albums with Sammy after the first 6 with David.
Right.
So he just adapted, changed, he changed the sound. Sammy was the perfect fit for that change in sound. You know, they went to the well one time too many with Gary Sharon, but that's another story. You know, I have to say that, but that's just because that's the truth. You know, but in general, Eddie's brilliance just repeated over and over again. He would reinvent himself, and I thought his piano playing, his keyboard playing was quite amazing.
And it added a whole, because Eddie really, as much as the rock and roll trio, sound with bass, drums, and guitar or whatever. He wanted to add other elements to it, but also was a smart business guy and realized there was a sound, there was a look, and he didn't want to mess with that too much. So, in keeping with what you said, he added just enough in the keyboards where he could go over and play the keyboard part live and then play the guitar, and it didn't all of a sudden become something else, where they would lose their core audience and go, where are they going with this now? Now there's keyboards, and is there going to be horns? And no, he kept true to the elements that they made so successful, but they also expanded on it, I think, in a brilliant but minimalistic way, which I think was great.
To enhance the minimalistic point, Eddie was one of the few guitar players when he would do a guitar solo. Usually on guitar solos, you will hear guitar rhythm tracks to enhance and support the muscle of it. Not here, baby. You'd hear Michael Anthony, Alex, and Eddie soloing. There was usually not a rhythm guitar behind it. That's how powerful his lead capabilities were. He could fill up the whole thing. He didn't need the extra. Jimmy Page would sit there and put a million, other guitars in there, but that's his approach.
Eddie Van Halen was brilliant at playing rhythm and then lead and rhythm and then lead, kind of like different genre, but like Stevie Ray Vaughan, same kind of thing. He did not have rhythm underneath the whole song and then solo over the top.
Right.
No, that guy was used to being in a club live, just him, bass player and drums, and maybe a keyboard player if you're lucky.
The Hendrix
so they had to
approach.
fill in,
Right.
and Eddie was from the same school. He was able to do both.
Yep.
And it just, he's just on every level a great musician.
And you're the one who got me into Van Halen, so it's all your fault.
Well, if anyone's tuning in right now, on the dais is the star of the show, Jimmy Pharaoh, who's part of the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings our theme song, Riding High, and you could get their music on Spotify, Reverb Nation, wherever your music is sold. And Chris Patty, who owns this station, is also a blues icon who's had a top 15 album in blues, right? So
Yeah,
Can you
I've
tell
had
the
a
fans
few-
a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I mean, I actually started as a drummer and played disco bands in the late 70s. I was like 13 years old. They would bring me in the kitchen because I was too young to actually be in the club, so they'd bring me through the kitchen. And I had an older brother who's a great guitar player. My brother, John, played with Edgar Winter for years, and he replaced Rick Derringer.
Hello.
In fact, he's written for Rick Derringer.
Hello.
Incredible guitar player. So I was playing the drums, but I was always secretly a guitar player. So once he moved out of the house, I was like, great, now I can play guitar, and he's not going to hit me in the head, So
Who are you, Eddie? This was the story of Eddie.
very similar
They
story.
like switch. Eddie was a drummer originally, and Alex was the guitar player, and they switched.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Can I ask you,
Sure.
each of you, what were your greatest memories of Van Halen and Eddie Van Halen? We're all in the same age range. Do you have a specific memory about Van Halen or Eddie Van Halen?
You mean like the music?
The music, maybe a moment, anything.
I have a little. The first time I heard Van Halen, the first album, I think it was '78, and my second oldest brother, I have two older brothers and a sister, had moved out, and I went to his house, and I walked in, and they were playing music, and I listened, and I was like, I said, who is that guitar player? And my brother was like, there's this new guitar player. His name is Van Halen. He's going to be like the biggest thing. And I sat and I listened to the whole album, and I'm like, almost pulled my hair out. I was like, wow. He's like an Alan Holdsworth rock guitar player. I don't know if you know who Alan Holdsworth is. He's a jazz guitar player. Very big influence on Eddie Van Halen. One of his idols was Alan Holdsworth, famous. He played with a lot of the jazz guys that you may or may not know. But I remember I must have been, 78, so I was 16. And I heard that record, and I was like, that guy is unbelievable. First time I heard Eruption, I was like, it's classical, it's jazz, it's rock, it's flamenco, but it's not any of those.
Right.
It really was unique, and he nailed every note. The tone was amazing. It was distorted, but it had punch. It wasn't just a buzzy sound. Everything about it, I was like, that guy, wow. And that was ever since then. That was my first time I ever heard him, and he blew my mind.
I do believe that they are the greatest. I was thinking about this quite a bit today. I think Van Halen is the greatest American hard rock band in the history of this country. Because I was thinking about the only other band that I could come up with who deserves to be like maybe a debate is Aerosmith. However, this is where it differentiates, though. Joe Perry was very much like a Jimmy Page type. No one was like Eddie. No one was like Eddie. Eddie was absolutely the pioneer of his sound.
He redefined the instrument.
Right. That's the difference.
There's a famous quote from Frank Zappa saying, "Thank you, Eddie, for reinventing the electric guitar."
Nice.
And he basically did.
Zappa's
I mean,
genius.
to me, there's Jimi Hendrix, and then there's Eddie Van Halen, and then there's everybody else. Because you take even Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, and those guys are great, and I know them well, but they were very influenced by Eddie when he first came out. Everybody was like, "What's he doing? I got to figure that out. How's he getting that sound?" You know, he influenced everybody. I mean, Yngwie Malmsteen, George Lynch, all those guys, they all really owe a lot to Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen really just.
Well, I'm coming at it from a different angle, right? So I'm not a musician, as you know. I've loved music. Can't play anything a lick. That's why I'm always in awe of
You always
guys
had
like
good
yourself.
taste, though. You
Right.
turned me on to so many great bands when we were kids.
But
Go on.
I was always an athlete. But the one thing I will talk about is like Eddie Van Halen. Like, remember Valerie Bertinelli, man? The guy had the hottest girl.
Yes, he did.
Remember, and you're like, this guy's got it all, right?
Yeah.
And I would think about like girls you would date or girls we hung around, right? They all loved David Lee Roth.
Oh.
They all loved
They
Eddie
loved
Van
Eddie
Halen.
more than David.
Yeah.
Eddie was the most popular, guy in high school to a lot of these girls. Go on.
And I think, on a simple matter, like Chris, you were saying, like, it was just good time music. I can remember driving in our car, singing along, everybody just having a blast.
Right.
I can remember each person taking a line, right? Not too complicated.
Wow, you remember that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And it was like everybody knew the words, and
Right.
it just, I felt a couple of days ago we lost a huge part of our youth. It's like my mortality hit me in my face.
Yeah.
Like we knew that Eddie was sick for a long time, right?
I hear that.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, and you just figure sooner or later the cancer's going to get you, right? No matter what. And it just
Unfortunately, yeah.
and it was hard. It's hard. It's like I said, a part of my youth was ripped away from me.
Ripped
Tuesday.
away. That's the perfect way of saying it. Hey, before we close out on the great Eddie Van Halen, and I see you have it here, so I do want to know, what's your favorite Van Halen song ever?
Wow.
Ever. If you have to pick one. Boy, it's rough.
It is rough, but I'm gonna have to probably the one that's again, I've been listening to Sirius Radio and the Van Halen tribute channel they just put on, so you kind of forget about some of the old songs, like because you don't hear them all
Like
the time.
Somebody Call Me a Doctor?
Well, yeah,
I love that
well,
song.
the thing is, like, I listen to a lot of new music, or I'm into all genres of music. So, I can't tell you I listen to classic rock on a regular basis, right? But God knows I love Van Halen. But,
Sure.
I'm going to probably
This is tough for you. Look at this. You're struggling.
Man,
I've got mine already. So.
I've got mine too.
Yeah,
you guys go first.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, I mentioned first hearing Van Halen music, but the first time I ever saw them, a video of them, was Panama. And that video, and just watching the live performance and hearing that song for the first time,
Yeah.
that's just the hook of that song.
Yes.
Talk about fun. I mean, that to me is bottled eternal youth, that song and that video. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, so for me it's very nostalgic, but they captured something in that video and that song that is it's just a perfect fit. So for me, that's, there's lots of Hot for Teacher. There's a million songs that I love, that the catchy ones where there's great guitar solos, but I think Panama is the one that sticks out for me.
How about you, Jimmy?
Well, for me, the most charming feature to me that I pulled from Van Halen was their early attitude. They had an attitude in their music. You could feel their swagger and their energy level and their ballsiness. My favorite song from Van Halen comes off, I do believe it's the first record, Atomic Punk. Mm-hmm. That song, to me, shows all the muscle that this band could flex. And what I love about it is it's got killer riffs, but he somehow throws in the tapping and the craziness. It's the perfect package. The song gets in and gets out, and David Lee Roth is never at his more machismo best. He's just unbelievable on that song.
And it's nothing when you say there's nothing cocky about it. There's nothing pretentious about it.
It's more like matter of fact.
It's raw talent.
Right.
And confidence just in the fact that they were just with the music. They weren't trying to impress anybody. They weren't trying to be something they weren't. They just were so damn good at what they did that they just reeked and exuded confidence. And of course, that's what makes rock and roll sexy. That's why girls want to be with rock and roll guys.
How about
because
their
they're
harmonies?
just confident, because they're great.
How about their harmonies? My God. When Michael Anthony and Eddie would step up to that microphone.
It was great.
that-
It was
those
simple, but it was exactly right.
Smoothest harmonies.
Yeah.
Ice Cream Man. How about
Jamie's
you?
crying.
Jamie's crying. You know, Jamie.
I might go with Ain't Talking About Love.
Oh wow, what a great song. Just like I told you before.
Or Right Now.
Right Now is a great, great, great song. Yes, that is with Sammy, but man, that's a great song.
There's so many to choose from.
The first one I ever heard was you. It was you. You put on. Now, Mike at the time had things that I didn't have, and boy, did I want them. He had the portable radio that you could carry around. We all remember those, and it had a cassette player on it.
Right.
And I'll never forget this. We're going for a walk. Maybe we're going over to your girlfriend's house at the time, whatever. And he pulls out a cassette. I was like, "What's this?" He goes, "It's Van Halen." I says, "Oh, what's that?" And he puts it in, and the first thing I hear is. Dun, 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 psh, 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 down, and Running with the Devil starts. I lost my mind, and he's walking like this with the radio, and I'm going, man, I want one of these. I was like, I'll never forget. That's the stuff I remember.
I remember that like yesterday.
That's the stuff
just
I
like
remember.
Brought me back. It's, wow.
And what a beginning to a song too. Oh my God! Talk about hi guys, here we are. Here's our first tune. We're gonna kick the crap out of everybody. Pay attention.
You know, before we end it, the one thing I wanted to say too is I saw them at the beach a couple of years ago. David certainly doesn't have the licks he used to have, right? But
okay,
what a great concert! Like, how much fun was that concert? Me and my wife were like, it was just a great time. And
what about that guy who got thrown out though, trying to hop the fence? That was me.
Yeah, but you know what?
Anyway,
Mike, isn't that really what it's all? Isn't that what it's all about? When you're an entertainer, it's really not about impressing people with your virtuosity.
Right.
You know that you can play 8 million notes.
That was a great show.
Really clean and all that.
Show.
But people just loved it for what it was. And yes, was it virtuistic? Yes. Was it great musically? Yes. But it was fun.
Right.
It was fun, and that talk about having a perfect, act, a perfect career. They were fun, but they were great musically on every level. They had greatness, and that's very rare.
And never really never got in trouble, really.
No,
right?
not really.
Had normal problems
really.
just like everybody else. Divorces, breakups, sickness, right? Anyway, rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. We all lost a part of our lives a couple of days ago. Thank you for what you've done. I mean, we, in our age bracket, we've seen a lot. And, I got to tell you, in a lot of cases, we're more privileged than a lot of people. We've seen the dawn of computers. We've seen the dawn of electronic music. We've seen old music, new music. And again, a lot of times I used to think back, like, if I could start over, what generation would I take? I think we had born in the right time.
We had a really, really good time. And let me really clear it up. We grew up with Beethoven, and Beethoven just passed away.
Yeah. Can't say much more than that.
That's simple,
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Live your life like there's no tomorrow. Love you, Eddie.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence. Collision Specialists. 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544. And And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced at Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. Monte The Pharaoh can be seen on YouTube Monte The Pharaoh page, Facebook Live Monte The Pharaoh page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor, Twitch TV Monte The Pharaoh page, and also the new All Access Sports Network, Thursdays from 8 to 9 p.m. and Tuesdays from 8 to 9 p.m. Our cable channel 115, you could catch us in the consolidated, is that a better word?
Yeah, you did okay.
Version of this show on Tuesdays from 7. The time has changed from 7 to 7:30, and from early risers, 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. on Saturdays. We're also seen on Channel 20 at Friday at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's this Friday. That's a few hours from now. So for all you partiers, you could get your fill on Monte and the Pharaoh.
So who are we on now after Dr. Punts?
I don't know.
Because we had Dr. Passes, now we got Dr. Punts?
We were talking earlier. We used to be on at 8:30, and Dr. Passes Gas was on before us, and we always enjoyed watching that and making fun of it. And now we don't know who to. Now we just started at 7 o'clock.
That wine episode where he was tasting all the wines. That was great.
I love that episode.
So interesting.
It is. It is a good episode.
So tell us about the Pinot Noir. No, doctor, tell us about your gas. Passes gas.
The dentist who drinks wine. Can't beat it, brother.
A dentist is the gas
I want to thank
know
Chris
what he
Patty
is.
for coming in here, owner of the station.
Yes.
What great insight. It's amazing, right? You guys are great musicians, both of you. So it's great to sit back as a fan and hear two great musicians discuss music. It was pretty impressive. Anyway,
that was rough.
we had a big weekend last Saturday. We had Barry Horowitz in studio.
Oh, yeah, that did
What are your
happen.
thoughts on Barry?
Barry Horowitz turned out to be a fantastic guest. He was a great listen.
Oh, yeah.
When I listened back to, critique us. You know?
Yes, yeah.
But, fantastic guest. I really enjoyed having him here. I thought he was awesome. Your thoughts on Barry? I think he surprised you.
First of all, I was so happy he's a big fan of the show. That
That's
always
always-
gets you going right
That's
away.
always cool. Yes.
And man, boy, you're right. Full of fire, ready to talk, not holding anything back.
Oh, no.
Boy, did that guy hate the Ultimate
he
Warrior,
does
boy.
not like the Ultimate
I
Warrior
was like,
at
woof.
all. It was like, wow.
But I'll tell you what, we could have had like a 3-hour interview, and it would have continued as being as good as it was.
Yeah, he was high octane. Great guest.
And then
speaking of high octane,
Tommy Wildfire Rich.
Dude.
Thoughts on that? You said something interesting to me the other day.
ugh.
You said you realize that Tommy Wildfire Rich is one of your top 10 best favorite wrestlers. Didn't you say that?
no, I was saying he's one of our all-time favorite faces from those days. Probably because we didn't get to see too much of him, and he didn't come across to me as Backlund irritating as a good guy. I guess I always thought Tommy Rich was a pretty big guy physically.
Yeah.
I didn't think of him as a smaller guy.
Well,
I always took him very seriously.
Yeah, but you could tell the dude didn't lift weights. Like you remember, he was always very
that's
soft.
fair.
He was soft, right?
Soft.
Yeah,
I
soft.
don't consider that soft. I just considered him naturally big because if you look at
No, big guy. Don't get me
Well,
wrong.
what about
but
Cowboy Bob Orton? He wasn't all defined. That's not soft.
No.
He wasn't
That's a
defined.
good, you know what? That's a good point.
You know what
that's
I'm getting
That's
at.
a good
He
point.
was just big, raw-boned Southern guy.
You're right.
You know, what I did, I got to admit though, we don't mark out very much anymore.
Right.
At all, really. We've kind of become pretty hard into this whole business.
Mm-hmm.
And forced, by the way, not really something we wanted to wind up being, but this is what we are. But I do admit, what did I say to you? I come walking in and I'm like, there's a guy who just pulled up in the parking lot that looks just like Tommy Wildfire Rich. I was excited.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Nah, he was great.
It was funny as that was approaching. I became very excited.
Yeah. And he did not
and-
disappoint.
no, he
either.
didn't. You
He
just
did
hit on the
not
head.
disappoint. He was awesome. Great.
And then last but not least, we had your friend and mine, Mr. Marty Jannetty, in studio.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Marty?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
third time having
did
Marty
he or
on?
didn't he? There you go.
Well, there lies a problem. So can I air on an issue? Matt, if you could get the microphone, I'd like you to weigh in on this too, bro.
Oh, God.
All right, what's going
All right,
on?
I'm going to explain a little something. So Marty Jannetty was in here. Marty Jannetty, famous WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
This is his third time in studio.
Yeah.
You could tell we have somewhat of a relationship.
Somewhat.
A little bit, yeah.
Right? Not sure if Marty's a big fan of mine,
Hey,
right?
yeah,
but
well,
just fine. It's
maybe,
all good.
maybe
But
not.
here lies the problem I have, guys. On air, Marty's there. He starts talking, his feelings about how he was going to be raped and how young men were getting, let me make that clear, oral for money from this owner of this bowling alley
Or
who,
someone who worked at the counter.
attempted
or
to
something.
rape. And he went into full detail, and tell me if I'm wrong, Matt Pharaoh,
Right.
how he murdered this guy for trying to molest him. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, 100% accurate. That was what it boiled down to, and it was a little bit more disturbing the way he put it, but
So as a producer, you listen to it, you really don't know the story. You start hearing this guy confessing on air that he murdered someone. What were your thoughts?
I was just shocked. I was like,
Oh, come on. I know what your thoughts were. How much is the reward? Come on. You were thinking about it. You were like, I wonder if this guy's worth $5,000.
what the fuck?
Hello, Suffolk County?
Well, okay, so let's speak about this. So this is Marty's first interview about that subject,
That's
right?
true, yeah.
Pharaoh presents the question.
Yeah,
It's the first interview. He basically admits to murdering this guy. And he tells a story how the cops got on him about this, so then he said it was a storyline, but on this show, he then continually kept talking how he killed this guy, that it wasn't a work, right? It wasn't fake. Little do we know, I'm looking through 2 days later, I'm home, got a little
Okay.
time,
Right.
kind of cut some stuff for YouTube. I'm like, all right, let me look at this Marty interview because I didn't get a chance to watch it. Let me cut it a little bit, right? I needed to get a clip of something because I was going to do a little clip of his statement, right?
Right.
I look it up, and there's a whole bunch of news articles. Every dirt sheet out there, paper. And what do? They give another show the credit because he was on another show
The next-
24, 48 hours
Yeah, later.
after.
Right, after.
And the guy watches our show and asks him the same question, and he gets the same story. And all the papers are reading, Marty Jannetty admits to murder, as seen on
This other guy's show.
fucking, I'm going to say his name, fucking Hannibal.
How you
dude.
doing, other guy?
Hannibal's another wrestling show, okay? He's bigger than us. We got it, right? Fair enough?
I already fell asleep when you said Hannibal. I'm sorry. Go on.
But he's bigger than us.
Boring! Go on.
But he
Go
got
on.
the street cred
Of course!
for this.
That's because he's got
How
hep.
fucking
Because he's got hep! What's wrong with you?
Matt, weigh in,
He
dude.
paid his dues.
I'm.
Go ahead, Matt. Follow that up.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like they didn't do the photojournalism thing and follow through with the story
Why
because.
would they? That would take effort.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Stop making sense.
Well, it's unfair.
You know I can't do that.
Can someone give us a little love?
No!
Give us just a little.
Monty and who? Who the fuck Monty?
Bro, this is not the first time. This is like
No,
the
it's like
second,
the 20th
third,
time. Second.
20th time.
Like the 20th time.
They steal our set. They steal our shtick.
He tried-
They steal our
He
commentary.
tried to order a fedora from you.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Oh
I
my
can't
God.
anymore.
Anyway, Citizens
Ugh.
Beeswax. He's a fan of the show.
Okay, I like that.
He
name.
says we're the conquistadors of professional wrestling
I don't know what-
podcasting.
should
We're
I
a
be-
broadcast, by
Wait
the
a
way.
minute. Should I be happy about that?
I don't know. What are your
The
thoughts on that?
Conquistadors?
What are your thoughts on that?
Wait a minute. What the conquistadors?
Yeah, like is that a knock?
I think it might be.
It might be a knock, right?
What the frig, bro? You could have at least said Rods and Estrada. What the hell? That's pretty funny, though, conquistadors. He's got a
thought
sense
it was.
of humor. That's funny.
If you were to say what would if you had to put us in
What,
that,
who are we?
who are we?
Oh, my God.
Not the conquistadors.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I would have to think about that. Well, why? Do you have an idea who we are?
Sure.
Who? What?
Fuji and Saito.
Fuji and Saito? How the hell did we become Fuji and Saito? I don't see that. I can't. I thought you were going to
All
say
right.
Rex and King.
Maybe Moondogs.
The Moondogs. You're king.
You know what?
Oh,
I'm gonna
my
go
God.
East-West connection. Ventura and Adonis.
Wait a minute.
We could go with that.
But you have the. You had the body, and Adonis lost his. What are you talking about?
it.
That wouldn't work either.
Anyway.
Wow, what are we?
Anyway, you know what, Hannibal?
Kevin Owens
it's
and
like
Sami Zayn?
Hannibal, if you're out there, brother, which I know you are, can you
yeah.
please
Stop watching us. Get original.
Yeah, get original,
Do
bro.
something on
Seriously,
your own.
Getting a little old.
You know?
Getting a little
and
old.
I don't care what you... Whatever, man. Whatever. Hey.
So last night,
What?
vice presidential debate. Did you get a chance to watch it?
Wait. Hold on. Is that a fly? I didn't see it. I didn't see the debate because you know how I feel about the
Right.
Liars Committee on all sides. But I heard about this fly. There was a fly that
Well,
landed...
first of all, for fans that don't know, the vice presidents, or the vice president elect, and the vice president
and
had
their
a
names
debate.
are...
Is
what's their names?
you
had
Kamala Harris,
Killer Khan.
Kamala Harris,
Not Killer Khan, Kamala Harris versus
Pence.
Mike Pence, the
Right.
vice president. Okay.
So they're going back and forth. They're jostling. Whatever. It was actually a decent
They were
debate.
jostling?
We'll jostle. We'll
Did they wear
jostle.
masks?
Hard to.
Did
No
they wear
mask.
ma-
No
They
mask.
didn't wear
No.
masks.
But they were socially distanced.
How the heck did
were
they
socially
agree to that?
distanced.
I'm not going to him. He's not wearing a mask.
But I will tell you,
Okay.
midway through, maybe midway through, and Matt, did you catch that? A fly lands on Pence's head. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Now, wait a minute. Now, hold on. I didn't see it.
Right.
Still haven't seen it.
Okay.
How big was the fly?
Big. Well,
Like a
was it that-
horseshoe fly? What are we talking
Matt,
about?
was it that big or was
like
it because
those
of the
farm
gray hair? Like, it
flies?
showed
It
it.
was like one of those like medium-sized like horseshoe flies, like not
Medium-sized.
large, but like it's gonna bug you out.
Right. Now, Pence has a receding hairline, so where did this land? Right below the...
It kind of traveled actually.
Yes.
It went
Yes.
on one side and went traveled across to
He
the
wasn't.
other.
He wasn't. The fly wasn't singing like "Food around the corner, food around the corner." He wasn't doing that.
The point of the matter,
the
you're in a
volume.
debate, right? What is wrong with someone just going onto the stage, like you're a producer, and getting the fly off this fucking guy's head?
Unbelievable.
You would think they'd have a stage manager just wave
Yes!
his hair.
Yeah,
Yes!
More
Yes!
importantly, where the hell was security? How did that fly get on his head in the first place?
Dude, it was so
Shouldn't they have all apprehended
It
the
was
fly?
so distracting.
I'm so
It was
confused.
so distracting. You couldn't even hear the points of the two contenders. Like I couldn't even concentrate.
Wow.
It's
I
like
had
get this
zero idea.
fucking fly off this
So
dude's head.
that's what we learned last night.
Yeah.
They had a debate. We were hoping for answers on conflicting, opposing views, and all we got out of it was there was a fucking fly.
Well, no,
That's,
actually, at the end of it, you want to talk how screwed up this country's getting?
what happened?
They focused on Pence's eye
Yeah.
because it looked like he had pink eye.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, pink eye is a sign of the coronavirus. Everybody knows that. So does he
Okay.
have the coronavirus?
Right.
And they do like a close up of this
How
dude's
do we
eye.
know the fly didn't get in his eye?
That's a good point.
How do we know?
Maybe some makeup got in the
This
guy's
is
eye.
ridiculous.
But anyway, all I'm saying is this: there's nothing wrong with a producer coming over and slapping the fly off his head. That's all I'm trying to say.
Chris
here.
would have.
Yeah.
Chris or Matt, they would
Matt,
have.
if I had a fly on my head and I didn't notice, you swat that shit right off.
Yeah, I would tell you you got a fly on your head.
come flying over.
You'd not. So what we've learned here is a couple of things, right?
Boy, oh boy.
Is Marty Jannetty admitted to murder on our show, but we didn't get any street cred for it,
Why would
Right.
we? Go on.
and the
What
vice
else is
president
new?
got a fly on his head.
Yeah, that's. I feel so much smarter
And
now.
what do we got?
Really.
26 days until the election, the
Oh
vote, the
my
final vote.
God. What are you talking about? They're mailing in from Ethiopia. You haven't heard? What are you talking about? People have been illegally voting for months. I voted for him 6 times. I can't anymore. This is going to be a big clusterfuck. And then,
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to go to courts. You're going to see. This is not going to be like, okay, and the winner is.
Look,
all
I'm not
right, I
looking to pick.
concede.
I'm not looking to pick
It's not
sides.
going to happen.
I'm
Either
not
side.
looking-
Neither side's going to
But
concede.
hold on, I'm not looking to pick sides here. But
Right.
say
can hope for a
Biden,
landslide.
say Biden wins, right?
Oh, okay.
And Trump
cringing either way,
Trump
but-
refuses to step
Oh,
down.
you know that's going to happen.
What kind of
If that happens.
What kind of mess is this going to be?
Oh, it's going to be a big hot mess. And here's the best part. You know who takes over during that period,
Who?
don't you? That kooky crackhead lady that's always talking, Pelosi.
Oh, great.
She'll be like, okay, I was thinking about it. Let's You know, forget it.
All right.
This is
All right,
this is scary.
Can I be quite honest on
Yeah,
this?
go ahead.
All right, I'm going to be straight.
By the
Not-
way,
no,
they all scare me, all sides.
but no screwing around.
So I ain't
on
taking
this.
sides. They all frighten me.
So
okay,
Biden and Matt, you can weigh in on this too, bro, because
Yeah.
you're young and you're the future of this nation. And I'm being 100% serious here.
He is. That's a lot of pressure.
Biden, I
on
think,
him.
is like 78,
Okay.
right? And President Trump is 74,
or something
right?
like that. Something like that.
So would it be fair to me? Would it be fair for me to say that both gentlemen have quite the possibility not to make it for their 4 years?
Yeah, I think that's why this vice president debate was a little bit more important, because everyone knew that the vice president might need to step up during the next
Right.
The last man standing card might get pulled. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, boy.
there you go. That's my whole point. It's like that debate was really, really important, because those are the possible two presidents of the United States.
Matt, does that bother you? By the way, have you seen any younger candidates like like a Rubio, or does anybody younger do anything for you? Do you get frustrated when you see these older, candidates?
I do like some of the younger candidates. I mainly like the candidates who seem to care about their people and rather about getting just the vote. Yada yada, typical government stuff.
Right.
But I'm not such a fan. No. Not
Yeah,
of the
you're not too
choices.
thrilled with these choices. In other words,
No.
yeah. We had Bill Clinton when we were young. Bill Clinton came along
Listen,
playing
you
the
can-
saxophone on Late Night with David
yeah,
Letterman.
right.
We were like,
You
I'm
should.
voting for him.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're right.
we gravitated.
Smart.
The
Smart.
youth gravitated to Bill Clinton.
Well, you could always write in the fly.
Back
Maybe
then.
the fly will win.
The Fly.
Yeah.
Well, the Fly didn't say anything controversial.
No, he did.
I kind of agree with the Fly on a lot of stances. He
I'm
kept
voting for the fly.
the Fly.
All right, man. So another icon in this sport celebrated 30 years in the business, Chris Jericho.
Wow.
30 years, one of your all-time favorites.
One
You've
of-
always been a huge Jericho
one of my
guy.
all-time favorites.
And before you weigh in, I'm going to make a statement to you, and I just thought about this a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I'm scared for the WWE.
You should be the way they've been going.
I have a feeling
I'm not
like
thrilled with them at all. Go on.
AEW is
Okay.
gaining way, way too much momentum now. I'm starting to get really worried.
Here's what's weird. I agree with the end result of what you said, but it's actually, to me, the opposite. It's not that AEW is gaining ground necessarily as much as WWE is losing ground. AEW is not propelling their ratings into anything higher to make us go, oh, look, they're not getting 2 million. It's nothing like that. It's the WWE who are used to having 2, 3, 4, in better days 5, 6 million. Now they're dropping and dropping and dropping. They're the ones who are falling towards AEW. I don't see AEW necessarily taking over, but if this keeps going the way it is, they're going to be equals. And that, to me, would be a very bad reflection on the state of wrestling. Because nothing's big time right now in my mind.
Jericho was on Busted Open, and he was saying the WWE is more worried about AEW than they are about their own show. So they purposely put on NXT to screw with their ratings. Jericho feels if NXT wasn't up against them, they would have numbers to rival Raw right now.
I don't agree with that. I think people DVR, and I think the same people that watch like an NXT type product for the most part watch AEW. I also think that those people who do watch the NXT and AEW product consistently probably don't watch Raw and SmackDown. So it has changed. There's different types of wrestling fans now.
Right.
Not just one kind who will tune in and watch all of them. There are
Right.
some of those. That's me,
Yep.
But this is the way it works nowadays, I think NXT is the AEW equivalent, quite honestly. And if they're smart, they'll continue to compete with them that way. You
Well, I
know?
want to wish Chris Jericho a great
He's the
30
best.
years.
I love Chris
Incredible.
Jericho. He's the
and he's
greatest.
almost like a good luck charm, right?
Yeah.
Left ECW to go to WCW. Was part of those wars, helped WCW. Left WCW to WWE. Probably had the greatest introduction to a wrestler entering a federation.
His
right, at
debut
some
was
point.
one of the greatest, if not the greatest debut. It's
All
one
right,
of the
bro, I
greatest.
want you to weigh in on this. Braun Strowman likes needles.
What?
Braun Strowman posted a photo on Instagram, and it was included a syringe on the bathroom counter.
What?
He deleted the photo in a hurry and then explained himself. The former Universal Champion was just trying to show off his ripped abs. Then the sighting of a syringe made some fans think the monster among men is on the juice. Oh, really? I'm a little surprised. He cleared things up, though.
Did he?
Yeah.
How did he do that?
It was just B12 shots.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
For everyone trying to
don't
make a
believe
big deal about the last post I did delete, I take B12 shots every day because my body's super sensitive to caffeine, and I can only use so much without feeling like I'm having heart palpitations.
Pay no attention to that syringe behind the curtain.
How about don't drink some caffeine?
Yeah. What the? Nah.
And why would you delete it then?
Check out my ripped abs. Oops. It's like he just put it in his ass right before he took the picture.
No, you really
Like,
think Braun
stop already.
Strowman's taking the gas? Is
Braun
it even
Strowman?
possible?
Braun Strowman, yeah. Why? Why would it be impossible? Oh, because it's not allowed anymore. I'll just go right around it. I take this thing called whatever.
Is there something wrong with social media? It's like, I just took my shot of the gas, and I've got to take a selfie? I mean,
You know what the best part, though, is when he immediately pulls it back down and goes, oops, I meant to. That's hilarious.
hey, let's go back to
me.
1973. Marty Jannetty's in that bowling alley, and social media's around there and Facebook. He just hits the guy over the head with a brick. Just killed my boss, and him and his friends are holding the guy's head up. Oh, better delete that.
Yeah, the next day, lighting him on fire. You got the guy with the lighter. Hey! By the way, Marty's whole pattern, because I edited for
Wait a minute, real
cable.
quick, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you know, Pharaoh, that bones don't burn?
They,
Fucking nuts.
they don't burn right away. You got to burn them for a while.
And by the way, if you want to catch these interviews, just go to the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page or the Facebook page or Twitch.
Yep.
The full link shoots are there, and also the breakdowns. Go ahead. You were going through the
No, it was
patterns
funny.
of
His
Marty.
pattern was, because I edited today, I saw the pattern of the story and the
Can you explain to people
the
what you're
twists and
editing?
turns that
Why you're editing? So
well,
they know.
we cut down for a show on cable, which is on a couple of times a week, as you
Right.
stated earlier. So what we do is we take the meat, the best thoughts and conversations and condense it. Like you said, we shorten it, whatever. And I was listening and editing with Bart today in the studio for the Marty cable version. And Marty started out by telling the story about how the guy, offered him and all of this stuff, wanted to, get some for the weed or whatever, get a little sexual favor for the weed. He goes, and then he said, he goes, and this is where the story ends for real. Because if you really pay attention in the editing, I could see what he was doing. Right. He goes, this is where it ends for real because he went back inside. I was like, okay, everybody stand by for the bullshit portion, because now comes the bullshit portion.
Sure.
He took me around back. What he had just said, though, he was like, this is where the realness ends, and this is where the story.
Right.
He claims he took him around back, and he hit him with the brick and all this other shit, right? He was like, and I was like, yeah, but now you're saying it was a wrestling angle because the cops got involved.
Yeah.
He goes, that's what I told him. So he was like, it's just a wrestling angle, it's just a wrestling angle. So after he was done explaining that it wasn't real, then he goes back to, and then we lit him on fire.
We didn't throw him in a river. We lit him on fire.
I lit him on fire.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, he said it's not real. I didn't, I just was playing everybody. But by the way, we lit the guy on fire.
Right. And bones don't burn.
Yeah, and bones don't burn.
Did
that
you know
fast.
bones don't burn?
Yeah, bones don't burn that fast. So I was just like, wow, that's.
And by the way, what kind of do you think AEW is going to pick up that angle?
No. I took as much stock in it as my grandfather did back in 1929. When they knew that everything was about the tank, that's how much stock I took in this. So
The
it's like, whatever,
WWE just hired Marty Jannetty as their head writer. What's your first angle? Well, it's going to be about a guy in a bowling alley who rapes boys and then gets hit over the head with a brick, and I burn him. What do you think?
No, but here's the best.
I mean, what is this? What kind of storyline is
But
this?
here's the best part. If you're going to run with it, let's run with it.
Go ahead,
Let's run with it,
go
man.
ahead.
Let's make this the stupidest thing ever.
Right.
Okay? I can see it, too. Like, there's Marty. He comes crashing into the live event, and he's running. He's running because somebody's after him.
Yeah.
And then the guy comes in, hold up there, Baba Boy! And he's got the big police badge on. I'm coming after you! Dude, this is the worst story ever. It's what? If I was the cops, I would have looked at him like, oh, my God. Really? This is your story?
Well, let me ask you this, though. Why do you feel he even has to tell this story? Like, okay, he tells a story, and then he gets kind of in trouble with the cops, so he says there's a storyline, And you know he's still under investigation, right?
Is he? I don't know. I have no idea.
Dude, he flat out admitted to murdering someone on this program.
But you know what's funny though? If they ever came and asked us about this interview we had with him, they would say, "What do you think?" I say, "I have no fucking idea."
You know what I'd say?
I have no idea what he thinks.
I would say this:
What?
Go fucking ask Hannibal. After that, let's go to commercial break.
Oh, and then take a nap after listening to Hannibal.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah. Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced at Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. Bro, I can't believe, but we're going really AEW heavy. All right, I'm sorry to say this. All right,
whatever. You know.
So last night, I got to give AEW credit, man.
Go ahead.
They brought back the dog collar match.
Okay.
So they had Brody Lee versus Cody. Cannot use my last name because the WWE owns it. Rhodes. All right.
That's his name. Did they introduce him that way?
That's the way I introduce him.
In this corner, Cody. I can't.
And they have this wicked ass dog collar match.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Well, you know my thoughts. I didn't see it, so you have to tell me what my thoughts should be here. Should I be excited about this? I mean, was it really truly old school? Was it a great match? I mean, does Brody Lee make you go, I gotta watch this?
It was really good, dude. It was.
Whoa, what's this? It says here, Greg Valentine.
Well, I was going to tell you right there. Greg Valentine was in the front row by himself.
How could you not call me?
Looking good, dressed in dapper.
Okay.
And, because they kept on pushing, right? The greatest dog collar match ever, right? Which we've talked about on the show.
I hope they didn't give him Mexican before.
And by the way, for fans out there, if you're interested in that, you could go to our Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, and you could see the Greg Valentine interview where he actually discusses Piper and that.
Sure.
So my point to you is...
He wasn't chowing down Mexican food?
He was not chowing down Mexican food.
Okay.
It was a very good dog collar match. Well
right.
done. Cody Rhodes wins back the title, and it's Brody Lee. See you later. And guess who comes out to challenge Cody for next week for their 1-year anniversary?
I don't know.
Your friend of mine, Orange Cassidy.
Oh, wow. Orange Cassidy versus Cody Rhodes next week for the TNT championship.
Yes.
I'm all over it. What are they going to call that? I fall asleep first match?
Dude,
I am so down on
you are really down
in general.
You are.
I'm just down. I'm like, the ratings are plummeting like a freaking, down the shitter. And there's no big stars. I'm sorry. And everybody's a retread. I don't care what program I'm watching. I'm like, I'm tired. Where are the fresh young stars to take us to new heights?
Michael Allen
Nowhere.
Rubin out there. He's a fan.
Yes,
right. Good guy.
I'm aware of.
He
Michael
wants
Allen
to know
what's
when
happening?
Marty hit me, was it real? Can you tell him if it was real?
Oh, come on now. Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm still explaining this all this time later. Yeah, that was real.
Explain to the fans what happened between us and Marty.
Coming from my end, and those on the inside know that this is the truth. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I could feel things are getting worse.
Well, can you explain what led up to that on the first?
Well, sure. The first time that we booked Marty Jannetty, and he was our first big-name star that we were bringing when we first started the show several years back. We brought Marty in, and just to make it real simple, Marty was not in his best state of mind. He was basically high as a kite, and he was inebriated to the point you couldn't understand anything he was doing.
Which you can catch on our YouTube page.
Yes, you can.
The destruction of Marty Jannetty.
It was absolutely frustrating. We were really rocked by that because this was our first experience.
Yep.
We were hoping for the best, but quite honestly, that day we got the worst, and it was really bad. So, like responsible wrestling disc disc jockeys that we are, we spent the next 6 months trashing him because we paid him for services and he came in and fucked it up.
Yep.
So we basically let him have it for about half a year, maybe even longer. I can't remember exactly. And then we brought him back because he wanted to, talk about it.
Right.
So we started to talk about it when he came back on the second time.
And when you mean paid for services, he was doing a signing.
Right.
We paid him for a signing.
Right.
We
with
had
real
fans
money.
coming to the
with real
fans,
hard-earned money.
and people get their autographs, and it's a meet and greet,
Right.
right? And he was so fucked up,
Right.
that people couldn't even do anything.
And if
with
you
him.
broke down what he was paid by per hour, every hardworking fan out there listening to us would be offended
Right.
that he did that he came and did this.
Right.
So, you wouldn't want your money burned like that.
Yeah.
So when he came back the second time, we were discussing it, and you were clearly still very miffed, and he was clearly feeling that he was wronged by the things we had said about him over the months since his first appearance.
Right.
And I sat there going, you know what? And you could see my reaction live. I was like, screw this already. I was like, all this BS and stuff, just get it over with. I could sense something was going to happen. And the next thing I know, Marty's running over and clocking you in the face.
That's right.
And what people don't see afterwards is I basically earned my Pilgrim State psychiatric card after that because I grabbed him and everything went completely insane.
There was a stranglehold. It got really out of control.
It was completely insane.
Marty punched me in the face.
Yeah.
All good. I'm
Hard.
a man. I wasn't going to sue
I don't
him.
even know how somehow you took it and you didn't even get, that fucked up from it. I was like, holy.
well,
you could take a shot. That I know.
Well, I'll
So.
tell you what. But look, you know what? I respect him, that he was man enough to come punch me in the face because I
Sure,
wasn't giving him
okay.
the right time. So,
Right.
again, the fans out there, me and Marty are not big fans of each other. Even if you watch this next interview, we're not huge fans of each other. I respect him again for the icon he was in the sport because he is an icon.
Yeah,
he's one of
sure.
the greats.
Sure.
But again, there's issues.
Yeah, well, not everything's always solved. It is what it is.
Anyway.
It is
Bad
what
news
it
for
is.
me, maybe not for you.
Okay.
Netflix cancels Glow's final season over coronavirus.
Oh, that's crushing.
Come on, dude.
I
That's
can't-
one of the best
I
shows.
can't watch Glow anymore on Netflix.
They have to close
What
out the
was
show.
so great about it? What do you mean they have to
Great.
close it out? You know
Good
what they should
80s
do?
music.
They should.
Hot girls.
They should just put up for 30 seconds, and then the show got canceled because it sucked. The end, and just put the end. That would be great. That would be a good finale. You wouldn't like that?
Fine.
Go-
WWE NXT
Hey.
champion Finn Balor breaks his jaw on TakeOver 31
Okay. All right. And this
against
was against
Kyle O'Reilly.
Kyle. I get the feeling that this was not your idea of a heavyweight championship battle.
Well, there you go.
You got
Thank
Finn
you.
and Kyle.
So now it's my turn.
Tipping the scales at 190 apiece.
Combined weight of
3.
Finn Balor does have a nice looking body, though.
Oh, you're going to start with this?
No, but he's got a good looking body.
He might like to hear that. He might be like, yeah, tell me
So
more,
thoughts?
Mike.
Do you think there's a problem with the NXT title? It seems like you hold it, you get hurt.
I think there's a problem with NXT, just in general.
You don't
right
like
now.
it?
I'm not thrilled about it, and I don't even like Balor
All
being
right,
down
let me
there.
ask you this. Let's just get to the root of it. Is there anything you like about wrestling now?
Not lately.
Not one thing.
I don't know. Do you have anything for me that would make me get excited? Because don't tell me Randy Orton and Drew
All right,
McIntyre
I'm gonna name a few
I've
things.
had enough of that.
Let me name a few things.
Go ahead. Good luck.
Roman Reigns fighting with his family,
I
the Usos.
could care less. I heard he's king of the tribe now. I'm so excited. Who cares?
You're
What
not
else you got?
looking for the possibility of The Rock against
Here we
Roman
go again,
Reigns
though.
at WrestleMania?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? But here we go again, going backwards to go forwards. I want a new star. I want a new Rock. I demand one. Vince,
How
enough.
about Roman Reigns?
What?
Isn't he?
No, he's not. What is so? I just gotta tune in and see Roman Reigns, huh? He's got Roddy Piper factor, huh? He's got Macho Man Randy Savage factor, huh? No, he doesn't have CM Punk factor. He does not. I want a star. And Vince McMahon, stop being so afraid to make an individual star, because I talked to you about this. If you go back to the old formula of creating a Rock, a Stone Cold, a Mankind, sure, you might create 4 or 5 superstars, and one of them might run off and leave you, but you'll still have the other 4. Stop being so afraid, Vince. We need stars.
All right, hold on. How about Alexa Bliss and The Fiend?
Okay, it's okay. That's cool. That's cool. You're giving me one storyline. You know what their problem is that, you know what that old saying, there's too many cooks in the kitchen?
Right.
Here's the problem with the WWE, besides the fact that there probably is too many cooks in the kitchen with all the writers instead of just having 1 or 2 men with a vision.
Right.
There's too many ingredients in the soup. There's too many wrestlers. They have too many wrestlers. They've got 3 different companies. They don't know what to do with all these ingredients. It's like somebody get back to basics over there. Finn Balor is in NXT now. Why is he down in NXT now?
What about the AEW product? Is there anything that you like about the AEW product?
I would like the AEW product when I start to see, and here was the difference. This is why there was a Monday Night War. When they show me their Goldberg, when they show me their original creation that makes me run, not walk, run to the television. As a wrestling fan, this is what we do when we love a certain wrestler.
Right.
When Goldberg was coming up in WCW, he was their product, he was their star, and he was a superstar, and we all ran to watch him. When AEW gives me that, not Dean Ambrose, not Chris Jericho, these are WWE retreads at this point. I want an original, and don't give me Orange Cassidy. Stop. That is not CM Punk. That's not John Cena. That's not Hulk Hogan. That's not Macho Man Randy Savage. There's got to be somebody out there that they can do something with and take away the handcuffs. Let them be their own character and do something for a change instead of always playing it safe. You know?
All right, let me name a few guys.
Go ahead.
Brian Cage.
Brian Cage.
Is that your Goldberg? That could be your Goldberg.
No, not at this point in his career. Not at this point in his career. He's already getting closer to 40 than he is 30.
Colt Cabana?
They should. No. Stop. No, not at all.
Darby Allin?
Darby Allin's interesting, but he's too small for what I had in mind as far as a Macho Man or a Punk or a Hogan or whatever.
Eddie Kingston?
I love Eddie Kingston.
Dude, I can't stand that guy. I cannot believe you just
He's not a
said that.
superstar, though. You're asking me if these guys are going to be.
No, I got you, but
what? Me all crazy.
Why do you like Eddie Kingston?
I like Eddie Kingston.
The guy looks like he eats a hamburger.
You're totally right. Basically, he's the guy who just says, "Pull up to the red square." You're right. So it's Kevin Owens' cousin. Okay, fine. Who else you got? But I love him on the microphone. You going to tell me he's not great on the mic?
No,
he's great on the mic. What else
Joey
you got?
Janela?
Joey Janela's window was 5 years ago when I used to look at him when he was younger and go, "There's another Jericho."
Jungle Boy.
You got to be kidding me.
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega's window.
His stock is
Kenny
gone.
Omega's window has passed. He should have gone to the WWE when he was red hot, but you know what? Vince would have fucked it up anyway.
Kip
Go on.
Saban.
Nope.
Lance Archer?
Maybe.
Luchasaurus.
Stop with Luchasaurus.
All right.
That gimmick should have died out in the Cretaceous area. What are you
Marco
talking?
Stunt.
Did you really
All
just
right.
mention Marco
All
Stunt?
right, legitimately. MJF.
MJF, yes.
So there's your guy.
Right. So use him. Dude, why is the belt not on him? I don't think that they use MJF completely to his potential yet. How many years is he gonna before they put the belt on him?
What about Miro?
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Wait till Rusev realizes that the greatest thing that ever happened to his career was Vince's creation of Rusev, was the platform that he had the opportunity to be shown on.
All right,
because he stinks.
I'm going to be 100% honest here.
Boy, I'm really on fire right now. Go
Sammy
on.
Guevara. I think
he
that
could be a
has
star.
the chance.
He could be a star. Yeah, and I remember how irritated we were with him in the beginning, but you know what?
And
Yeah.
Ricky Starks.
He's a little small, though. Sammy may grow into.
Right.
Sammy plays so big.
So do we agree MJF definitely?
By the way, these guys are in AEW. They're not in WWE.
Yeah. No,
Sorry,
but,
Vince.
but I asked you.
Just
you
so
told
for
me
you people
when's the
out there
next
think we don't
Goldberg.
keep it fair, you know?
Right.
Who's the next Goldberg, though? There's nobody like that right now. I mean, hell, who's the next Brock Lesnar? And don't tell me Lance Archer. You know, there's really no. You know, I just feel like we're going in a pool of mediocrity, and they don't push anybody. When you feel that they could take off and become a big star, they pull back. They do this
Well, the
all
other thing,
the time.
AEW has that inconsistency too, right? It's like they build a star, they're trying to build a star, and then you don't see them for 3 weeks, and then they come back on.
Right.
I got to tell you though, like I said, I'm in fear that they're taking over the. Like I don't want them
if
to
the
beat
WWE keeps slipping backwards, eventually they'll fall right into the arms of AEW. Ratings wise, that's really a bad thing, Vince. Better right that ship.
All right, we got about 3 more minutes. I want to take
right.
a quick commercial break, and we'll cover one last subject, and then we're out of here, brother.
We shall be back.
In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com. You want to star in your own success? Call QuickCast. www.quickcast.com. 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. Quick Cast.
Start your own success.
Jimmy, I just got the best hookup on tickets.
Fill me in.
I went to www.seatslinks.com and ordered the best tickets with the best prices.
Call 718-676-0504. SeatsLink, the complete ticket experience.
Tell them Charles sent you. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma. We were just talking about how guest-heavy we were, so it feels good to be just us and just shoot the shit a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do want to announce again on October 24th, another icon of sport, Nikita Koloff, will be in studio. He'll be interviewed, and then right after that, we'll have a live auction in co-partnership with Captain's Corner. Okay. We'll be selling Nikita pictures, Russian flags, gear, actual gear, and magazines, signed magazines, and he signs them on the spot. And he'll sign them to your name, personal, But anyway, go to www.captainscorner.com. And you could pre-order your stuff, and he could do a shout-out as he's signing. It's pretty cool shit.
Yep.
We did one with Al Snow and Doink the Clown and Tony Alice, so it's a good time. Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Last subject. What do you want to hit, brother?
Well, geez, I feel like I'm bringing news to you now all of a sudden.
That's great.
But I just had read that Candy Cartwright has decided to file a suit against Matt Riddle. So it looks like this is not going away anytime soon. We thought it was going away. Matt Riddle had dropped whatever he was charging against her, and now she's turning around and going up against him for how much money? How much money?
Well, I'm going to read it right now. Thank you for bringing this up. I had no idea. This is really just breaking news, folks. We've discussed this before on the show about Matt Riddle and Candy Cartwright.
That's a lot of money.
Candy Cartwright files lawsuit against Matt Riddle, the WWE, Gabe Spillinski, and Evolve for $10 million each, if I could read it real quick. Candy Cartwright has zero plans to back down from allegations she made against Matt Riddle. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful is reporting that Cartwright, real name Samantha Tavel, has filed a lawsuit in circuit court in Cook County, Illinois against Riddle, the WWE, Evolve, and its owner, Gabe Spillinski. The lawsuit seeks $10 million from each defendant, stemming from allegations Cartwright made accusing Riddle of sexual assault in 2017 and Riddle bragging about it to Spillinski. It also included a lawsuit or allegations that Riddle forced Cartwright to perform oral sex on him by choking her during a bus ride to Evolve 104 in 2018. The lawsuit cites... Just go ahead.
You're going to lose. I love this that she goes up against Vince, too. It's just like, what do you
What does Vince have to do with it?
Yeah, it's only his fault.
What does he have to do with it?
It must have been his bus or something.
He wasn't.
The bus that was sitting on, Vince owned it.
Why? Because he employs the independent contractor, Matt Riddle? What is that?
When you're digging for gold, you're digging for gold.
Bro, when is this country
I'm sorry. And that's my
levy
opinion.
penalties against people that do these fraudulent lawsuits?
You know something? I would love to see it. I would love to see that kind of shit happen, because when you're wasting the taxpayers' dollars with your bullshit, I got a problem with that.
A bus full of people was sleeping on this ride.
Right, yeah.
And he forced her into giving him oral sex.
Right.
Meanwhile, they were having an affair.
Because he's desperate, Matt Riddle. Yeah, he's a real desperate guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And he forced her.
Yeah, basically looks like Shawn Michaels did 20 years ago.
And he forced her.
Right.
In a busload, and everybody was sleeping.
Right.
Except them.
I heard Sabu was laughing and doing coke. I can't anymore. But dude, do I take it?
Do you think this is an angle?
Oh my God! Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be Candy Cartwright? Sorry, I didn't mean to say this.
I'll burn you alive, Matt Riddle. You know what's right?
All right, go ahead.
No, I can't remember. No, it's real. You know what would be really funny? If it does turn out to be a work and she winds up managing him.
Stop.
I can see it.
Stop
You
it.
know what? But no, it goes to show how little trust I have in the whole BS world of pro wrestling sometimes. Because to me, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden one day they're together in the ring.
Wait a minute. There is some clarity here. I want to read
please
this
make
because
it-
I think it's fair to Candy Cartwright.
Clarify.
The lawsuit does claim that
Fair to Candy.
Cartwright
Killed her. What are you talking
had
about?
bookings with the WWE and Evolve up until January all of
Right.
this year, and alleges that Riddle hung a threat of losing bookings with the promotion over her head unless she performed sexual acts on him. So she claims that the WWE was working with her.
Well, Evolve is that it's smaller than NXT.
Right, I know they
was.
bought Evolve.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
so
were.
that's why she's suing the WWE
Right.
because they own Evolve.
Right.
Ah, now I
Right.
understand.
But it still, as always, it's Vince's fault, one way or the other. So
Well, anyway,
I don't know. I put no stock in it. I never put any stock in it. I never took it that seriously, and I still don't. You know, I think it'll get thrown out.
I just
Whatever.
wish a fly would land on Candy Cartwright's head. Anyway, this has been Monte the Pharaoh, Long Island's #1 pro wrestling
her
broadcast scene
Land
every
here, land
Thursday
here.
on Indie Music
I
TV.
don't get it.
Catch us again on channel 115, channel 20, Facebook Live, Monte the Pharaoh YouTube page, and Twitch. This has been Mike Monte.
This has been the Pharaoh.
We'll see you next Thursday. I will tell you, I think we might have a special guest call in.
Okay.
Adrian Adonis's daughter.
Really now?
If you're interested, we
Yeah.
need to speak about
Well,
it.
that sounds good.
Matt, did you enjoy today's show?
I always love it when it's just the two of you guys chatting.
We love you too, man. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Please be safe. Wear your masks. And please, in all seriousness, go out there and vote.
Later.